Hey everyone! Today we're going to take a closer look at the Mistmoore Castle update. We kick things off in a Tier 2 group instance of this zone. I'm rolling a level 25 Paladin Monk Enchanter, and Crumb is on a level 27 Warrior Bard Shaman. Now the first mob that drops some new loot you'll come across in the zone is this glyphed ghoul near the entrance. He still drops the crested Mistmoore shield, but he also has a chance to drop this new gilded Mistmoore visor as well. Now the mobs in the entry area were all in the low 20s, so you could really come here before level 25. But we knew we wanted to be able to head deeper into the castle right away, so we figured level 25 seemed like a solid starting point. So we started making our way into the zone and headed towards the graveyard area first. Now there are still a couple of older name mobs here to take note of. There's an Imp Familiar, which will drop the Sacrificial Dagger or a Bloodstone Eye Patch. There's also a named Behind the Mausoleum, which will drop the Robe of the Keeper. It's not great on stats, but it has a vibrant red color if you want to hold it for an appearance. We then took the secret passage next to the coffin and dropped into the basement of the castle. It was nighttime in the zone, so the undead were all around us. A will sapper down here dropped these black silk gloves. Also in this area of the basement was our next named. The Avenging Caitiff will drop either the Crested Spalders or the Crested Helm. These aren't new items, but they are still available on loot tables. We then made our way over to the tower and took down Garton Viswin. He's an older name that's still dropping the glowing iron pike or the chestplate of dark flame. We continued on, heading toward the bath area to take down Lasna Cherun. Now she's got a couple of items that might be worth the trip. Now these aren't new items, but the Diamondine Earring or the Platinum Skull Ring are still really decent items at this level. And if you're wondering if the zone has been toned down in aggro or not, the answer is, it doesn't feel like it. Some of these small rooms are still packed with mobs. Even so, our characters still seem to be doing just fine in this group instance. We were also gaining XP at a pretty good rate. I dinged level 26 as we moved through the castle, and we continued fighting our way over to the princess's room. Now this is another named that does have some new loot. You can pick up the Tarnished Ancient Tiara or the Fang Weapon for monks and beast lords. The weapon has a life drop proc on it and a decent hit ratio. I do wish there were some stats on it though. I dinged level 27 as we took down a Dark Librarian, who also drops 2 new items. She'll either drop the Veil of Silence or the Rod of Understanding. So we kept working our way through the castle and soaked up XP along the way. By the time we made it to the garden, I was ready to ding level 28. And I did that, taking down another named with some new loot. The Hemoenologist will drop a dagger called the Wine Thief for SKs or Necros. It has a focus effect of a 25% increased damage for life taps. So if you roll one of those 2 classes, this might be worth picking up just for that focus. And in the other corner of the garden, you'll find 2 more names, the Fallen Noble and a Cloaked Vampire. Now the cloaked vampire will drop his hooded black cloak or this new fleeting memory arrow. The damage and the range on this was a nice upgrade for me. The fallen noble drops these stylish noble's robes or a new Mistmoore heirloom ring. The ring has an effect to add a regen of 1 mana and 1 health, but you'll end up taking a hit on magic and fire resist, so it wasn't really worth it in my opinion. We then moved into the ballroom. Since it was night in the castle, we started taking out the werewolves. During the day, Minthy Davis will drop the loot of the Gypsy Princess or the Mistmoore battle drums. At night, these will drop from the werewolf Gypsy. These are definitely 2 focus items that you'll want to pick up if you have a bard in your build. Clearing some more, I easily dinged level 29. We then made our way through the kitchen and headed towards the servants' quarters. Now the butler is still dropping his cape of midnight mist. And the maid in the room next door will either drop her nightshade wreath or the new maid's stockings. So we kept clearing because XP was flowing, and soon I dinged level 30. And then level 31. And because this zone has an abundant amount of mobs to pull, it didn't take very long to then hit level 32. We realized that we had missed one final name outside, so we headed back out into the canyon to take down Ininti. She's dropping 2 new items. The common is the Visage of the Gargoyle, and the rare is the Gargoyle Grip Gloves. Since we'd now uncovered all that Mistmoore had to offer, we decided to see just how difficult a Tier 4 group zone would be. I also wanted to see how many upper tier motes we could collect on a single run through the zone, so we opted for non-respawning to test it. Eventually, there will be achievements added in for clearing entire zones in EverQuest Legends on non-respawning instances. At level 32, there was still a decent amount of yellow con mobs inside of the castle. And working our way through, I was able to ding 33 fairly quickly. Now, in terms of a zone to level in, Mistmoore XP passed by fairly quickly. There are ample mobs for continuous pulling, and a level range to easily take characters from the low 20s to upper 30s. In true Mistmoore fashion, there's still a lot of aggro and tight rooms within the castle, so you might end up with a larger pull than expected. But it's a nice alternative zone to level in for variety when rolling up a new character combination. Once we'd finished clearing the Tier 4 zone, I took a look at the moat count. I ended up with a moat gain of 1 Tier 4 moat and 10 Tier 5 moats. And since we were so close to leveling again, we popped back into an open instance and dinged level 35. At 35, a lot of the castle was already blue, but we hung out a little bit longer, and ended up dinging level 36 before I called it a night. All right, so that was pretty much it for our Mistmoore experience. Loot-wise, there's a couple of items worth highlighting if you're thinking about hitting up that zone. If you're rolling a bard in your build, then definitely pick up the Mistmoore battle drums and the loot of the Gypsy Princess from the zone. At Resonance 11, they'll be solid until you're able to replace them with the drum from Nagy and the 7-stringed lute from the Maestro and Hate. If you're rolling a Necro or an SK, then picking up this Wine Thief dagger would be worth your while. It's got the improved vampirism effect on it, which will increase your life taps up to 25% damage. The new Fleeting Memory arrow is definitely worth picking up, as the stats are not far off from the Gloomwater arrow in Kedge Keep, and it saves you the nightmare of swimming with the fishies. And then this classic diamond-eyed earring is worth picking up for some melee stats on a earring slot. The only other items really worth mentioning if you're leveling up, the hooded black cloak has got some decent stats on it if you're leveling up at that range. And then this new monk beast weapon, really nice damage ratio and combat effect of the life bite. I wish it had some stats on there, but otherwise it's pretty solid if you have a monk or a beast. The other items that dropped in the zone, not terrible. They could stand a little bit of a boost. If you're leveling up a character for the first time, you could probably use more of these. Otherwise, it's not something that you would necessarily go back and farm the zone for. All right, well, I think that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.